الله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه، فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
No one would disagree that courage and bravery is a good quality. Everyone aspires to be brave and courageous, and everyone is fond of courageous people. You will find children, their favorite cartoons are the ones that involve superheroes and action heroes. When they become adults, things don't change that much. As young adults, young men, they also like action movies and actors that are brave and courageous, the ones that show as much courage as possible. Why? Because people are drawn to this attribute, to this quality, from their children. Ever since they're children, people are drawn to the attribute and quality of courage and bravery. In TV stars and actors, they find actions that they aspire to do, but they can't. Saving people's lives, rescuing the world, killing evildoers. These are all good qualities, the qualities of brave and courageous people. That's why people enjoy watching these movies and such cartoons for kids. Even cowards like courage. Even if you ask someone who's a coward, ask them, are you a coward? No one will admit that they're a coward, because it's the opposite of courage. No one wants to be called a coward. And even a coward loves the attribute of courage. Children are taught from an early age to be brave, to be courageous. Some children aspire to be policemen, join the army, be part of the Navy, be a Navy SEAL. Why? Because it's courageous. Some children want to be firemen, to rescue people's lives. That's what brave people do. They rescue people's lives. They rescue the world. Now, how do we define courage? Courage is a good quality. Everyone wants to be courageous. But how do you define courage? Courage is lack of fear in the face of danger, death, dying. It's lack of fear in the face of an enemy, whoever that enemy is. There's lots of enemies. There's different kinds of enemies, as we shall see. Being courageous is having lack of fear in the face of an enemy. Being able to confront your enemy with full courage and bravery, without fear. This is a definition of courage. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. History tells us of many courageous people, many courageous and brave men. For example, in Greek mythology, we read about Achilles. Achilles was extremely brave, was extremely courageous. If you read Homer's The Iliad or the Odyssey, or if you've seen the movie The Trojan Troy, which is about the Trojan War, Achilles plays a very important role He's a fierce warrior, very brave. He doesn't fear anyone. He doesn't fear the world's largest armies, the world's most powerful kings. And he plays a very important role in the Trojan War, and he helps the Greeks defeat the Trojans in the Trojan War. Now, what's interesting about Achilles is that he's brave and he's courageous, but what is his motivation? His motivation is to be remembered as a brave man, is to have a strong reputation, is to have the reputation of being a warrior, a courageous warrior. That was his motivation. And in the Trojan War, he kills Hector, the prince of Troy, who is another very important, brave and courageous character in Greek mythology. Hector was the prince of Troy. He was the son of King Priam. It is said that he had killed 31,000 soldiers. He was fearless. People feared him. And he was known for his courage. Unlike his brother, Paris. His brother Paris was a coward. He was what you would call a playboy. Not so much a soldier in the battlefield. He was busy with other things. His brother Hector had to fight his battles for him, and he had to defend him. He had to defend his brother in battle. So anyone who would read the story of Troy and the Trojan War, immediately you're drawn towards Hector because of his courage and because of his bravery, and you're drawn away from his coward brother, Paris, who couldn't defend himself. What was Hector's motivation to fight? Love of country. He fought to defend his country and nation. Another very well-known, brave and courageous figure, again from Greek mythology, Odysseus. In Greece, or in Greek, he's known as Odysseus. In Latin, he's known as Ulysses, the king of Ithaca. Also someone very courageous, very brave, very intelligent. And in the Trojan War, he thinks of the Trojan horse. He comes up with the horse idea in which the Greeks were able to breach the walls of Troy and bring the city down. So he's not only courageous and brave, but he's also very witty and smart. From Persian tales, we read about Sirush, or Cyrus the Great, the famous king, who built a very large empire in Persia, who was known as the king of the four corners of the world. A great king, a great emperor, the king of a very large empire, very brave, very courageous. And it is said that he had a lot of good qualities as well. He cared for human rights, religious rights, and so on and so forth. From Islamic history, Sultan Suleiman the Great, known for his courage, known for his bravery. Sultan Suleiman, whom his capital was Istanbul in Turkey, he was able to spread his empire all the way to Europe. He reached the heart of Europe, and his goal was to reach Rome and to bring down the Vatican. He occupied much of Europe. Many European leaders and kings feared him. The Pope himself feared him. So he was very courageous. He would himself enter into the battlefield. He himself would fight to increase the morale of his soldiers. However, this great and mighty king had a weakness. His weakness was woman. His weakness was his wife. Anyone who reads the history of Sultan Suleiman, you will see a fierce warrior out into the battlefield, but at home with his wife, he was extremely weak. So he had a weakness. If you read history, you will come across lots of heroes. Lots of people with courage. Lots of people with bravery. But if we analyze their courage and bravery, we see that it has a motivation. Anyone who's brave, you have to have a motivation. Something is inspiring you. For Achilles, it was the need, the desire to be recognized and to be remembered by future generations. For Hector, it was love of country. For others, it was the love of power and wealth and land and to be recognized. Some, they were fearless in the battlefield, but at home, against personal desire, against nafs, against women, they were very weak. With all these great warriors, you rarely find someone whose courage and bravery stemmed for love for Allah. His courage was for the sake of his master, Allah, or for the sake of his faith, or for the sake of the next life, the akhirah. Rarely you find brave men like this. Most of them, their courage stemmed from love of dunya, to be recognized, for power, for wealth, for recognition, for land, but not for Allah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Courage is of two kinds, my brothers and sisters. Courage is of two kinds. Because your enemy is of two kinds. One enemy is the outer enemy, a country, a foreign nation, a tribe, a gang, a neighbor, a classmate, a co-worker, I don't know. It's an outer enemy, and you need courage to face that outer enemy. And there is another enemy, an enemy within all of us, an enemy inside that speaks to us, an enemy that tells us to disobey Allah, an enemy that tells us to rebel against Allah. What the Quran calls النفس الأمارة بالسوء وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي. We have a self inside that constantly tells us to disobey Allah, to sin. It's the month of Ramadan, you're fasting, it's hot. Your nafs tells you, eat. Go hide in a corner, who's going to see you? It's not like there's cameras. Your parents aren't going to catch you. Go eat. Have a sip of water. Eat, drink, no one will catch you. That's a nafs al-ammara bis-su'. The deceiving nafs that constantly tells us to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this nafs, it needs courage to defeat this nafs. The same way that you need courage to defeat an outer enemy, you need courage to defeat your inner enemy. You've all heard of the story of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when they came back from the battle of Tabuk. He told them, لَقَدْ رَجَعْتُم مِّنَ الْجِهَادِ الْأَصْغَرِ. You have come back from the lesser jihad, from the minor jihad. They told him, Ya Rasulullah, there's a greater jihad than this? We came back from the battlefield. We saw blood. We used swords. He said, yes, there's a greater jihad. وَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالْجِهَادِ الْأَكْبَرِ. Now you have to engage in the greater jihad. They told him, Ya Rasulullah, and what is the greater jihad? He said, jihadil nafs. The jihad against the nafs. The nafs that continuously tells us to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, when it comes to these two enemies, the outer enemy and the inner enemy, and the inner enemy, people are of three kinds. One kind of people that are cowards in the face of both enemies. This is one kind of people. Another kind of people are courageous with the outer enemy, with a bully at school, with a transgressing nation that wants to attack, with a ruler, with a tribe. But when it comes to the inner enemy, they have no courage. And then the third kind is the kind that have courage with the outer enemy and with the inner enemy. As for the first group that have no courage whatsoever, not with the outer enemy and not with the inner enemy, we see a lot of examples today. We see some countries today, they don't pick on countries bigger than them. They pick on countries smaller than them. Poor countries like Yemen. They take their airplanes and they go and they bomb a poor country like Yemen that has no infrastructure, that has no army, that has no planes. You don't see them go and attack a greater country, bigger than them. They go and they attack smaller countries. And they spend $100 billion to attack such countries. Where's the courage in that? Not only that, but they attack their visitors. People who come to their country, who think they're safe to perform a pilgrimage or whatnot, and they attack their own guests. Is this courage? Is this bravery? This is lack of bravery in both kinds. In history, we read about some people that lacked courage. In fact, the Quran tells us. The Quran tells us that some of the Sahaba lacked courage. This is not me. This is not me attacking the Sahaba for some to say that, why are you attacking the Sahaba? No, the Quran tells us about some Sahaba that lacked courage. إذ تصعدون ولا تلوون على أحد والرسول يدعوكم في أخراكم. The Quran tells us about the battle of Hunayn, in which the Prophet was in the middle of the battlefield, and his Sahaba, they left him. They left him. إذ تصعدون ولا تلوون. And you don't even turn back, the Quran tells the Sahaba. وَالرَّسُولُ يَدْعُوكُمْ فِي أُخْرَاكُمْ. The Rasulullah called the Sahaba, come back. Where are you going? They left Rasulullah in the middle of the battlefield, in the middle of the battleground, and they left. And this is one of the greatest sins, by the way, to leave the battleground and turn your back to the enemy. This is one of the greatest sins, according to all scholars of Islam. Let alone leaving Rasulullah in the middle of the battlefield. In the face of whom? In the face of an enemy, in the hands of the enemy. In the battle of Ahzab, the Quran testifies to the cowardice of some of the Sahaba. وَإِذْ زَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرُ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. When some of the Sahaba, they saw the enemies attack from all corners, they were in despair. They lost hope. And they began to doubt Allah. They said, is this what Allah wanted for us to face? Didn't Allah promise us to save us and to support us? Where's the support? Some began doubting Allah. This is all from cowardice, lack of courage. One day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told that there's a man inside the mosque praying, worshipping in khushu', in concentration. Rasulullah told him, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by this person's prayer. You might see him in khushu' and in concentration, but this person will be the head of the Khawarij in just a couple of years. I want someone to go and kill him. He told one of the Sahaba, read history and see which Sahaba that was. He told him, go and kill that person. He went and he came. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I couldn't kill him. He's praying. How can I kill him? Rasulullah sent to another of his Sahaba. He went, he came back. Again, he couldn't kill. Read history. I don't want to mention names. Read history and see who were those Sahaba. He said, I couldn't kill. Rasulullah told Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, you go and kill him. When he went, the man had already gone. Where's the courage? Rasulullah is telling you, go and kill. You say he was praying? You don't want to admit that you couldn't kill. You're a coward. So you say that he was praying. Another one of the Sahaba, in the battle of Uhud, he ran away from the battlefield and he was hiding for 3 days. For 3 days, he went into hiding. So this is lack of courage. We see this group of people. There was another group that had courage in the battlefield. In the battlefield, they're courageous, they're brave. But when it comes to their nafs, they're a failure. They become cowards. A prime example of that is Khalid ibn al-Walid. Khalid ibn al-Walid was a fierce soldier. He was a fierce warrior before Islam and after Islam. Before Islam, he fought with the mushrikeen and he killed many Muslims. In the battle of Uhud, he fought against Muslims and was very fierce. He was courageous. After becoming a Muslim, also he was fierce. He was a warrior. In fact, some call him Sayfullah, which is a title that belongs to Imam Ali alayhi salam. They gave it to Khalid ibn al-Walid. Okay. Now come with me to this Sayfullah, the sword of Allah, when he faced Malik ibn Nuwayra. Malik ibn Nuwayra was a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and a companion of Imam Ali. He came to Malik ibn Nuwayra and he told him that I've heard you refuse to give your zakat. Indeed, Malik ibn Nuwayra, who was a companion of Imam Ali, this was during the days that Abu Bakr was in power. Malik ibn Nuwayra refused to give his zakat. Abu Bakr sent Khalid ibn al-Walid. Khalid ibn al-Walid came and he said, why don't you give your zakat? He said, I will give my zakat to the Imam that was appointed by Rasulullah. And the Imam that is there now is not appointed by Rasulullah. I will only give my zakat to the man that was appointed by Rasulullah, and that is Ali ibn Abi Talib. They told him that in that case, I will have to kill you. Before he said, I will have to kill you, Malik ibn Nuwayra had a beautiful wife. She came out of the tent. Khalid ibn al-Walid, he saw the wife of Malik ibn Nuwayra. As soon as he saw her, he said, then I have to kill you. Malik looked at his wife and he said, you're the reason that I'm going to be killed. Khalid ibn al-Walid decided to kill Malik ibn Nuwayra just to have his wife. And indeed, that is what happened. Khalid ibn al-Walid killed the wife of Malik ibn Nuwayra. And he was with her that same night. The same night of killing her husband. A prime example. You see, a person who has he has courage in the battleground, but not against his desires. Not against his nafs. Not against the al-nafs al-ammara bis-su'. Another example is Umar bin Sa'd. Umar bin Sa'd, who fought Imam Hossein alayhi salam. He was fierce. In the battleground, he would fight. But he was a coward against his desires. Yazid had offered him to be the governor of Ray, modern-day Tehran. And he couldn't say no. He couldn't say, this is power. This is money. How could he say no? Even if it meant killing the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how could he say no to power? So you see, he's brave and courageous in the battlefield, but he couldn't say no to himself. We see a lot of young men today like this. A lot of our young brothers, they're brave. They go to the gym, they work out, they become big. If they're attacked, they can take out 10 guys, right? Maybe we'll have people like that in our majlis. They're huge, no one can talk to them. They can take out an entire gang, they're very courageous. But if they're offered drugs, they can't say no. If they're in the car, they have to listen to music. They can't say no to music. They can't say no to a lot of things. If they're offered a haram relationship, if they could start a haram relationship with a young lady, they can't say no. They can't resist. They're very brave. They'll fight the bravest person, but they can't say no to music or to drugs or to cigarettes. You tell them, why don't you quit cigarettes? You're harming your health. He can't. He's weak. You tell him, why are you in this relationship? This is a haram relationship. He's weak. He can't say, when it comes to desires, he can't say no. We have a lot of youth like this. They're strong, they work out, they're brave, they'll tackle an entire gang, but they can't tackle this nafs inside. This nafs. It's a shame that you could have courage against an outer enemy, but not courage against and inner enemy. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day he passed by a group of youth that were having a contest. What was the contest? The contest was who can pick up a large rock, the largest rock. There was a huge rock, and they had a contest who can pick up this rock and keep holding it the longest. Rasulullah told him, you know, that's good. If you can pick up this rock, that's great. But you know what's greater? Is not the one that can pick up the greatest rock. A brave man, a courageous man is not the one who can pick up the largest rock, but it's the one who could defeat his self, his nafs. The one who could remain fasting for 16 or 17 hours without cheating, without going behind his parents and eating and drinking. That's bravery. That's courage. Being able to get up in the middle of the night and pray Salatul Layl and giving a little bit of your time to Allah in the middle of the night and not sleeping to overcome sleep, that's courage. That's bravery. To get in your car and not to turn on the radio and not to listen to your favorite music when all your other friends do, that's courage. On a Saturday night when all your friends go, I don't know where, to a club, hopefully not Pulse nightclub, to other places, and you resist and you don't say no, that's courage. That's bravery. Bravery first starts with the nafs. And this is where we come to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali, when we speak about his courage, Imam Ali had two kinds of courage. One courage was against the enemies in the battlefield. Was anyone more courageous than Imam Ali alayhi salam? Did anyone show more bravery than Imam Ali alayhi salam? But what's interesting is that when you compare Imam Ali to the other brave men in world history like Achilles and Hector and Odysseus and Sirush and Sulaiman and others, was that Imam Ali's bravery and courage wasn't for personal fame. He didn't do it to be remembered as Ali ibn Abi Talib, the courageous man. No, he didn't fight anyone for personal glory. In the battle of Al-Ahzab, when Amr ibn Abdul al-Amiri, he jumped over the trench and he crossed and he challenged the Muslims for a duel. No one got up. No one got up to fight. Rasulullah stood up and he said, who will fight Amr ibn Abdul? And I promise him. When Rasulullah promised, you think it's like my promise and your promise? Rasulullah doesn't break his promise. Who will fight Amr ibn Abdul? And I promise him, I guarantee him paradise. Ali ibn Abi Talib stands. Rasulullah tells him, sit down, Ya Ali, sit down. Again, he makes the promise, whoever fights Amr ibn Abdul, I promise him paradise. No one standing except Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imam Ali alayhi salam. Finally, Rasulullah tells him, Ya Ali, do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? This is Amr ibn Abdul. He said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. And I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. He told him, go. Imam Ali goes and he faces Amr. Rasulullah said his statement. It's a short statement. It's one sentence. It's short in words, but big in meaning. He said, خَرَجَ الْإِيمَانُ كُلُّهُ إِلَى الشِّرْكِ كُلُّهُ. All of faith has went to face all of shirk. Imam Ali was an embodiment of Iman. خَرَجَ الْإِيمَانُ كُلُّهُ. If you could point to Iman, you would have to point to Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was an embodiment of faith in Allah. He faced Amr ibn Abdul. They exchanged words. Finally, Imam Ali fought him. You all know the story. Imam Ali was sitting on his chest. There was dust. Imam Ali was sitting on the chest of Amr, who was twice as tall as Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali was sitting on his chest. He was about to finish him off. The Sahaba, they noticed that Ali ibn Abi Talib, he got up and he took rounds. And then he came back, he sat on the chest of Amr, and he finished him off. And he brought the head to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, the head of Amr. The Sahaba, they came and asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, they told him, Ya Ali, we saw you were sitting on his chest and you could have easily finished him off, but you didn't. You took a walk and then you came back. Why? He said, you know why? Because he spat in my face. He spat in my face. I could have killed him, but me killing him would have been seeking revenge for what he did to me. And I didn't want to seek revenge. I wanted to kill him for the sake of Allah. Because this person's a murderer. This person's a monster. I didn't want to kill him because he hurt me or he hurt my ego, he spat in my face. I wanted to kill him for the sake of Allah. This is Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is what makes Ali ibn Abi Talib better than and greater than all the other heroes in history. If all the other heroes, they fought for personal glory and fame, Imam Ali fought for the glory of Allah and for the glory of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the night that Rasulullah left Mecca, the night that he left, there was a conspiracy against Rasulullah. When Rasulullah migrated from Mecca to Medina, there was a conspiracy against Rasulullah. Quraysh had planned on attacking the house of Rasulullah and killing him on his bed. That night Rasulullah left. And he put whom in his bed? Who? Khalid ibn al-Walid? Did he put others? He put Ali ibn Abi Talib in his bed. Of course, Imam Ali volunteered to sleep in the bed of Rasulullah. This was a great sacrifice. Amir al-Mu'mineen was sacrificing because if Quraysh had attacked, they could have killed him. Amir al-Mu'mineen volunteered. Rasulullah told him, are you sure? You could be killed. Amir al-Mu'mineen asked a question. What question would you ask if you were in his shoes? If you wanted to sleep in the bed of Rasulullah while Rasulullah left? You would ask that, will I be safe? Right? Are they going to kill me? Will I be safe? Imam Ali did not ask that. He said, Ya Rasulullah, will you be safe? Will you be safe? I will do it. I will sleep in your bed. I'll be a sacrifice for you. As long as you're safe. Imam Ali fought for the glory of Rasulullah, for the glory of Islam, for the glory of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not for personal glory. This was his courage. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Ali's courage started when he was a child. When he was a child. The children of Mecca, they would attack Rasulullah. Rasulullah would not defend himself. They were children. Imam Ali was a child. It's not okay for an adult to beat children, but it's okay for a child to beat a child. Imam Ali would go and he would bite their noses. He would bite their noses. He taught them a lesson ever since they were children for attacking Rasulullah, for stoning Rasulullah with stones, making him bleed. So these children, they grew up with the image of Imam Ali being a fearless warrior. A fearless warrior. Look at the battles of Islam and the battles of Rasulullah. Who was the prime character? Who was the one that had the leading role in all of the battles? Was it not Imam Ali alayhi salam in Badr? What did he do? In Uhud. In Uhud, when all of the companions ran away, they ran away from the battlefield except five. Five of the Sahaba, 4 of them were men, 1 of them was a female. 1 of them was a female. The men ran away and a woman had to come and defend Rasulullah and Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali would walk and run across Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, defending him from all of his sides. He fought and fought until his sword broke. He came to Rasulullah and he told him, Ya Rasulullah, إن المرء ليقاتل بسيفه وهذا سيفي قد انكسر. A man fights with his sword and here's my sword, it's broken. Jibreel came down with the sword of Dhul Faqar, the 2-headed sword. He gives it to Rasulullah. He says, this is for Ali. Give it to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Amir al-Mu'mineen took the sword. He goes back into the battlefield. Jibreel shouts in the sky, La fata illa Ali, La sayfa illa Dhul Faqar. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Amir al-Mu'mineen kept on going around Rasulullah. kept on going around Rasulullah, defending Rasulullah. Jibreel tells Rasulullah, يا رسول الله إن العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويقول إن هذه هي المواساة. Jibreel told Rasulullah that Allah sends His peace upon you, and He says, look at Ali ibn Abi Talib and look at the other Sahaba. Look where they went and look at Ali ibn Abi Talib. He doesn't give his back to the soldiers. He said, Ya Jibreel, I'm not surprised. You know why? لأنه مني وأنا من. Because he's from me and I am from him. He's my soul and I am his soul. We are one. Me and Ali are inseparable. You want him to leave me? Of course he won't leave me. This was Ali ibn Abi Talib. This was his courage. In all of the battles, Imam Ali had injury. In some battles he had injuries. But all of his injuries were from the front of his body. His face, his hands, the front. Never the back. You know why? Because he never gave his back. Imam Ali never gave his back to the soldiers for him to have injuries from his back. The injuries were always from the front. In the battle of Khandaq, in the battle of Khaybar, we talked about Khandaq. In the battle of Khaybar, the Jewish city of Khaybar, first Rasulullah sends Abu Bakr. He sends Abu Bakr to go and open the door of Khaybar. He comes back, يُجَبِّنُ أَصْحَابَهُ وَيُجَبِّنُ. He calls his soldiers cowards, and they tell him you're the coward, not us. The second day he sends Umar. This is in Sunni sources. This is Al-Mustadrak ala al-Sahihain by Al-Hakim al-Nisaburi and other sources. The second day he sends Umar. Umar comes back, calling his soldiers cowards, and they're calling him a coward. Finally said, خلاص. Tomorrow, لَأَبْعَثُ غَدًا رَجُلًا. Tomorrow I will send a man. Now what does this mean? That's up to you to decide. Tomorrow I will send a man, كَرَّارًا غَيْرُ فَرَّارٍ. Someone who goes into the battlefield and doesn't run away. يُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيُحِبُّهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. He loves Allah and His Prophet, and Allah and His Prophet love him as well. لا يرجع إلا ويفتح الله على يديه. He will not come back unless he is victorious. Indeed, Imam Ali alayhi salam goes into the battlefield and he faces Marhab, the Jewish king. The Jewish king, when he realized that this is Ali, he asked for his name. He told him, what is your name? He told him, my name, my mother called me Haydara. And in the Torah, my name is Ilya and my name is Ali. When he heard the name of Ali, he had known that the man who will kill him, his name is Ali ibn Abi Talib. And indeed, Imam Ali alayhi salam killed him. Read Islamic history, read the history of Ali ibn Abi Talib and all the battlefields and all of the battles and all of the wars. Imam Ali was at the front line of all of these battles. In one of his sermons, he says, Wallah, he swears, Wallah, in tadaharat al-Arabu ala qitali, lama wallaytu anha. If all of the Arab, they come to face me in battle, I would not give them my back. I would not say no. He compares himself to Musa. He was asked, are you greater or Musa? He said, I am greater than Musa. Prophet Musa, I am greater. Why? He said, because Musa, when Allah sends him to Fir'aun, he said, أخاف أن يقتلون. I'm afraid because I killed an Israeli, so I'm afraid to go back. I'm afraid they might kill me. As for me, Rasulullah sent me to Mecca, and there's not a single house in Mecca that doesn't have a martyr at my hands, someone that was killed at my hands. Yet I went to Mecca, and I faced the people of Mecca fearlessly, without being afraid. So who's greater, me or Musa? Thus, Rasulullah Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was a fearless warrior. And one of the battles, in the battle of Siffin, he was faced by Amr ibn As. Muawiyah had sent a fearless warrior to fight Imam Ali alayhi salam. Muawiyah had asked Amr ibn al-As to send the bravest warrior to fight Imam Ali alayhi salam. To fight Imam Ali. Amr ibn al-As sends a fearless warrior. This warrior, as soon as he faced Imam Ali alayhi salam, he couldn't defend himself, so he exposed himself. He stripped. He exposed himself. Why? Because he knew Imam Ali would turn around. Imam Ali turned around, the warrior left. Muawiyah tells Amr, he says, this is your fierce warrior? A person who strips in front of Imam Ali? You embarrassed us. And in this case, you have to go and face Ali ibn Abi Talib. Told him, me? He said, yes. This is what you get. Amr ibn al-As grabs a sword, he enters the battlefield. As soon as Imam Ali approaches, he strips. He strips. He comes back and Muawiyah starts laughing. Amr told him, Ya Muawiyah, some historians mention the story. Amr tells Muawiyah that maybe you should enter the battlefield. You should get into the battlefield. I mean, you're the commander, you're the leader. You get into the battlefield. Amr tells him, I think you want to take my position. That's why you're telling me to enter the battlefield. He said, no, you should get into the battlefield. Muawiyah gets into the battlefield as soon as he is approached by Imam Ali, and you know it, he stripped. He exposed himself. Imam Ali looked away. He gave a chance for Muawiyah to go, and then he looked at their army. He said, hold on a second, is this a stripping contest or it's a battle? Well, what is this? Some fierce warriors, in order to get away from Imam Ali, they had to strip. They had to expose themselves. This was his strength. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam Ali was courageous and brave, but not just in the battlefield. Our youth, everyone loves Imam Ali. And everyone loves hearing stories about his courage, right? Especially the youth, especially young men. But you have to know this, that Imam Ali wasn't just courageous in the battlefield. He wasn't just courageous with his enemies and with the sword and in battles and in wars. But he was courageous with his nafs as well. With his nafs, with his desires. One day, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, may Allah bless him, bless his soul. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari was invited for dinner at the house of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They brought him food. They brought him his food. It was simple food. He was a bit disappointed. They didn't bring Imam Ali's food, Imam al-Hassan wal-Hussein. So he said, he's an Imam, his food is probably better than mine, the food that they brought me. Some bread, some milk, some salt, and some dates. He said his food must be greater. Until he saw that they brought Imam Ali's food sealed. It was sealed in a bag. It was tightly sealed. He opened the seal, and it was a dry loaf of bread, dry. It could barely be eaten. He told him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why did you seal it? Were you afraid that someone will steal it? Is someone going to steal a dry piece of bread? He said, no, I'm not afraid of anyone stealing it. But I was afraid that my sons Al-Hassan and Hussein, they'll come and put some honey on it to make it a bit moist for me. And I don't want it to be moist. I like eating it like this. So I seal it so that my sons don't do anything to it. This was Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was the one that would state, أَلَا وَأَنَّ إِمَامَكُمْ قَدْ اكْتَفَى مِنْ دُنْيَاهُ بِطِمْرَيْهِ وَمِنْ طَعْمِهِ بِقُرْصَيْهِ. Your Imam has only 2 pieces of clothing. And with food, he only eats 2 loaves of bread. That's it. أَلَا وَأَنَّكُمْ لَا تَسْتَطِيعُونَ عَلَى ذَلِكَ وَلَكِنْ أَعِينُونِي بِوَرَعٍ وَاجْتِهَادٍ وَعِفَّةٍ وَسَدَادٍ. He says, I know you can't handle it. However, you could do more. You could help me by being pious, by being righteous. Imam Ali alayhi salam in his lectures, he says, if I wanted to, I could live like Muawiyah. I could have all kinds of food on my dinner table. I could bring all kinds of food and dessert and fruits on my table, but I don't. Because maybe, just maybe, there might be a child, someone poor, an old lady, an old man who's hungry. What will I answer, my Lord? What will I say to Allah? One day he sent Qambar to buy 2 pieces of shirts. I think he gave him 5 dinars or 5 dirhams. 5 dirhams, not dinars. And he told him, buy 2 shirts, one for me and one for you. Qambar came back, his servant. He came back with 2 shirts, one for 3 dirhams and the other for 2 dirhams. Qambar gave the 3 dirham shirt to Imam Ali and he took the 2 dirham one. Imam Ali told him, no, you take the 3 dirhams and I'll take the 2 dirhams. I'm an old man and you're young. You want to wear a better shirt? Give me the other shirt, the cheaper shirt. Where will you find like Imam Ali? A person who had all kinds of money, all kinds of wealth, yet he lived like a poor man. This was a fight against his nafs. Otherwise, when you're like this, you want to dress the nicest clothing, eat the nicest clothing, eat the nicest food. This is what happens when you're fasting and it's almost time of iftar. But Imam Ali lived like a humble person. And Imam Ali had a soft spot. You know what the soft spot was? Orphans. Orphans were a soft spot for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Subhanallah, this fierce warrior in the battlefield, everyone would be scared of. But if this fierce warrior sees an orphan, he would start crying like a woman. He would start crying and wailing like a widowed woman. One day Imam Ali alayhi salam was walking in Kufa and he saw children playing. He saw children playing and there was one child standing in a corner. He went to him. He told him, why aren't you playing with the rest of the kids? He told him, Ya hada, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I'm an orphan and I don't have a father. And there's nothing for me to be happy about. Imam Ali was standing. Immediately he sat down, he hugged the child and he began crying and wailing. And he brushed his head and he said, my dear son, I am your father. Consider me like your father. His weak spot was orphans. He took him home. He told him, where's your house? Where's your mother? He said, here. He took him home. He knocked at the door. The lady opened the door. He saw that she has lots of orphans, lots of kids. She didn't know who he was. She welcomed him inside. He said, can I do anything for you? She said, what do you want to do for me? I have kids, I have to cook, I have to clean. And I don't have a husband. My husband was killed. Where? She said, in a battle. May Allah forgive Ali ibn Abi Talib for taking my husband in a battle and getting him killed. Imam Ali began to cry, began to weep. He said, okay, either you take the children and I cook, or you cook and I take care of the children. He remained in that house and helped the lady for that night. When he was about to leave, people passed by and they told him, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. The lady was very embarrassed. She was very shy of Imam Ali, of treating him that way. Imam Ali alayhi salam loved orphans. And he would say, ما تأوهت لشيء كما تأوهت للأيتام في الصغر. On a night like this, the eve of the 20th of Ramadan, Imam Ali alayhi salam was on his bed. He was surrounded by his sons Al-Hasan wal-Hussein and Zainab and Kulthum. On a night like this, the companions of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted to see him. Al-Asbagh ibn Nubata, one of the companions of Imam Ali, he said, I came to see my master Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was wearing a yellow turban. He had wrapped his injury, wearing a yellow turban on top of his head. He said, I was not sure what was more yellow, the turban of my master or his yellow face. His face had turned pale because the poison had spread all over his body. The sword that struck the head of Imam Ali was a poisonous sword. Ibn Muljam had put this sword in a poisonous dish for several months so that the sword would be full of poison. On a night like this, a doctor came to visit Imam Ali alayhi salam. He tested his injury. When he finished, he looked at Imam Ali alayhi salam and he said, my master, give your last will. Say your will, my dear master. The poison has reached your brain and has spread in your body. The companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam, they gathered. All of a sudden they heard knocking at the door. You know, when someone is poisoned, doctors, they would prescribe milk. They say that milk is good for those that are poisoned. It relieves the pain. Imam al-Hassan heard knocking at the door. He opened the door and he saw hundreds of children, orphan children. They had gathered at the doorstep of Imam Ali and carrying buckets of milk with them, saying, this is for our master, our father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Our father who would take care of us. We have brought him milk tonight to relieve his pain. Imam Ali was with his children, Al-Hassan wal-Hussein, Zainab, Kulthum, especially his daughters, Zainab and Kulthum. They could not stop crying. You know, when you're a father and you look after your children, when you're a father, you love your children all equally. But your daughters hold a special place in your heart, especially if it was a daughter like Zainab and Kulthum. Our dear Father, are you really leaving us? Are you leaving this world? Who are you leaving us behind to? لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Raise your hands in dua.